Hey guys, so in this video we want to end up with something like this. The user enters their pickup location and their drop-off location, and they click on the book button, and the driver confirms the booking, and another route will be opened showing the driver's details. So when the passenger clicks on next, they will be able to track the driver. So now you can see this car moving towards the pickup location, and the app will also be able to display the amount of time it will take the driver to reach the pickup location. So I have already created the logic for the server side because I want to focus only on the client side in this video to keep it short. I'm just going to explain what we did on the server side. So this is inside views index.html inside our server. So when the driver clicks on the confirm booking button, we want to update the database. So to do that, we have this function which listens to the click on the button. Then we're just going to update the database with the driver's ID, which we have hard coded here, and the booking status, which will be confirmed. And this is going to be an Ajax call with a type of put, which we are going to handle here. So this endpoint is just going to update our booking status. Then after that, we are going, if everything else is successful, we're going to emit a socket.io event called action. And in order for us to do this, we need to get io from request.app.io, which we are specifying inside our server.js. So for you to be able to get this, you need to specify this down here. So you're gonna do app.io is equal to io.on. So you need to specify this inside this server.js. Then the next thing you want to do inside our views index.html is we have a track driver event. We're going to listen to a track driver event which will be triggered when our user gets the driver's location. So when the user gets the location of a single driver, we're going to emit an event called track driver. And in this track driver event, we have an array here, like we have the latitude and the longitude like this, which is going to simulate the driver's movement. And we also have a set interval here, because we're going to be updating the database every 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds we update the database. So when we reach the end of our array, we're going to clear the interval. So that's it for the server side. So now we need to go inside our source and create a new route called track driver. Okay, so inside my routes folder, I'm just gonna create another folder called track driver. This will be my track driver route. And inside this folder, I'm just gonna copy some of the things I have here. Like the container, I'll copy it from the home route and I'll paste it in here. I'll also copy the module, and I'm just gonna change this to track driver container, and this will be track driver. And I'll also create another folder called components. This is where all my components for the track driver route will stay. And I'll create a new file called trackdriver.js. And one thing I need to do also, I need to import the container inside my scenes. Track driver container from track driver container, and I'll create another scene here. The key will be track driver. Title, just the same thing. And it's not an initial scene, so I have to remove that. And then inside our store, I also need the reducer. So I'm just going to import track driver reducer, which we're going to create just now. Track driver reducer from is track driver, and I'm taking it from track driver Mongojs, and I'll just pass it down here. Okay, so inside here this one will be called track driver reducer. I'm just going to remove some of these things we don't need here. The only function we need in here is get current location, because we still need to get the user's current location in this route also. Okay. Inside my containers, I'll remove everything else I don't need. And inside my track driver.js, I'm just going to copy this, and I'll also delete everything I don't need from here. This will be track driver. I'm just going to remove everything we have here for now. Remove this. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is when the driver clicks on the confirm booking button, we have an event which is triggered by socket.io to confirm the booking. So we need to handle it on the client side inside our home route. So inside home modules, I'm just going to add a handler for this. So booking confirmed, just end handle confirm booking. It will simply update our booking. So let me just change this. Yes, handle booking, handle confirm booking. It will simply update our booking object with the action.payload which we are getting from the server. Then for us, in order for us to open the new route, we need to do something a little bit extra. So still in our home route, because when the booking status has changed to confirmed, we want to go ahead and open a new route. I'm just going to import actions from React native router Flux. So this actions has functionality which will enable us to replace the route which is currently being viewed by the user. And we're going to do this inside a React lifecycle code component did update. So I'm just going to put a check here. This dot props dot booking dot status is equal to confirmed, and we just open a new route using the actions we're getting from React Native Router Flux. Actions.track driver type of reset. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to create a map component for tracking our taxi driver. So inside components, I'm just gonna create a new folder called map track. This will be our component name. And inside this folder, I'm just going to create an index.js And I'll also create styles for this component. So I could have just reused this component here, but I'm just gonna create a new one to keep things simple. So it will look much like this. I don't need all of this. I just need the region, which I'm going to pass here. And I'll need to create styles for this. I've already created some styling, so I'm just gonna copy them from here, paste. So this will be map track styles, and I'm still going to need the selected pickup and the selected drop off, but this will change later on, so I'm just gonna remove this. I don't need this. Since I'm using selected address, I need to make sure I map it to the props also inside here. Selected address, I'm gonna get it from stat. I'm gonna get this from the home route. Selected address, which could be an empty object. I'm just gonna save this inside my track driver.js. I'm going to import my map track component up here, map track, and I'm gonna pass it here. But I need to check first this dot props dot region dot latitude. Let me just check if this object is valid. Then this will be printed on the screen. Inside map track, I need to pass my props. I need to pass in the region, and I also need to pass the selected address. To be equal to this dot props dot selected address. Okay, so next I need to create the driver found component. I'm just going to create a new folder here. I'll call it driver found. Create a new file, index.js. Then I'll create the styles for the component, driver styles.js, and I'm just going to copy component I have here and paste this here. So I'm going to rename this to driver found. And I'm just going to create a new view here. This will be my container, and I've already created some styling for this, so I'm just going to copy and paste, and I'll paste the styles here. Then I need to give my container this class, this style. Go to styles dot find driver container, and I'll create another view which will hold all my content. Styles dot content. Now we have a text here which says driver found, and I'll need an image which I have to import from React Native. I'm just going to give it a resize mode contain. This will be the driver's profile picture, and I'll give it a style of driver pic. So this will be styles.driverpic, and the source of my image, since it's external and coming from a CDN, I have to use URI, and the name of my image will be here, profile pic. And later on I'll need to get this profile pic from another object, which I'll just declare const. I'm going to take the profile picture from an object called driver image. So I need to put driver image up here because I'll pass it as props. And then next I need to create another view which will hold my driver's information. Just give this view a style of styles dot driver info. Then I just want to put some big quotation marks here to surround the text. I have 2 quotation marks. So write style will be equal to styles dot quotation mark left, and I'll do the same down here. Okay, inside the quotation marks I need to create another view which will hold the driver's information. Just give it a styles, styles dot driver bio. And down here I'll have a text. Just copy and paste this style of bio text, and inside here just write hi, my name is, and down here we'll output the driver's name here. Text styles dot name text, and we're going to take this from an object called driver info. So this will be driver info dot first name, which will be the driver's first name. Then we'll have driver info dot last name. So we need to have driver info here so we can pass it through props. And next we have a text here which will give the same class we have here, and this basically says and I am some kilometers away. Then next we want to output the vehicle details, and we're going to take the vehicle object from the driver info is equal to driver info. Here I'll just have a text. Let me just give this a styling. This will be my vehicle details, and this will be vehicle text. And we'll also need a vehicle number. And here I'll just write vehicle let number. And we're going to show this only if we have this vehicle object. And I'll display vehicle.plate number. And all of this will be coming from the database. And next we want a button for us to close this overlay. And I'll just give it a style of next btn. And when this button is pressed, we want to get the driver's location. So I have to create this function, get driver location. And inside the button I'll have a text which says next, and I'll just give it a style of next btn text, and I'll need this up here also. So now I need to call this component inside my track driver. So I'm just going to import it up here. Driver found from here, and I'll only show it if this flag is true. This dot props dot show driver found. If this is true, then I'll display this. Oh, let me just change this to, actually I don't need this, just need to take it from here. So down here I'm just gonna pass the driver info, this dot props dot driver info. We're gonna create functionality to get the driver's info very soon. So now we want to create another component. It's called driver photo profile. It will be like a small driver's profile just at the bottom of our screen. So let me create a new folder here and I'll call it driver photo profile. And I'm just going to create a new file here, index.js, and some styles, driver photo profile styles .js, which I'm just going to copy from here because I've already created them, and I'll just paste this here. Now for this component I'll need to install another npm package called React Native star rating because I need to use some star ratings there just for display purposes. I'll do npm install React Native star rating and save and let that install. Inside here I'm just going to copy what I have here and paste it, and I'll change this to driver footer profile. Just remove everything from here, and this will be my footer container. And up here I need to import the package I just installed, the star rating, and I'll import it from React Native star rating. And I'll also need to use some icons, so I'm just going to import icon from React Native vector icons. I'm going to use font awesome. Then I'm just going to create a small container here for my profile picture, and let me just copy what I have here. This will be my image, and I'll give this view a style also of image container. And then down here I'm gonna create a container for my star rating, and this will be rating container. And now I have my component that I just imported from star rating here. The star size, I'm gonna give it to 20. Disabled, I'm gonna make it true because this is just for display. I don't want it to do anything when it's clicked. Then the maximum number of stars I want to display is 5. And I'm going to take the rating from the database. So I'll just write rating here, which I'm going to take from driver info. And I'll just give the stars an orange color. It's equal to. Okay, then I'm gonna create another view here. Just create multiple views. This will be self-closing. Because I need to add some spacing here, and I'll have another view here and another view, and then let me just give them some styling. So all of them will have a style of icon container. Inside here I'm just gonna put an icon, and I'm gonna call it font. This would be a font icon. I'm just gonna give it a size of 30, and a style which will be styles.icon, and I'll do the same down here. But this one is for a message, which in font awesome will be comments. Okay, so in order for me to use this component, I also need to import it here. And I'll paste it here. And we're going to pass in the same object we have here. And now the final component we want to create is called driver on the way footer component. So I'm just gonna create another folder here called driver on the way footer, and I'm just gonna create a new file called index.js inside here, and I'll also create the styles. Should be driver on the way styles, and I'm just going to copy what I have here and paste it in here. And I've already created the styles, so I'm just going to copy them from here and paste. So this would be driver on the way styles. I don't need this, and I'm just gonna remove all of this. I'll need the driver info because I'm gonna be taking the vehicle information from here. And I'll create another view inside here, which will have a style of styles with icon container, and I'm just gonna put a small icon here, and I'll just call it window minimize. I'll give it a style of icon. Styles.icon. And then I'm just gonna have 3 text elements down here. The first one will be distance, so I'll give it styling of distance text. Second one will be just text, which we'll just call text. And the last one will be the vehicle details. So here I'm just gonna write your driver is on the way, and down here we will display this. If we have the vehicle object, then we'll display vehicle.plate number, and we'll also display the vehicle's model. For the distance, for now I'm just gonna write some text there, which I'll change later on. So the next thing I want to do is we need to import this inside our track driver component. Oh, we need to rename this also. Let me just take the name from here. And we import it here. And I'm just going to paste it here. And I'm just going to pass in the driver's info like we did before. Now, in order for us to get this driver's information, we need to create a Redux action for that. So I'm going to get the driver's information when the component mounts. So here I'm just going to create this .props, and the function I'm going to create inside my Redux store, and I'll call this get driver info. Just copy this, go inside my module, and I'm going to create a new function, get drivers info. So I'm going to make an API call here. I'm going to export function. The function we just create, we just code inside our component, and I'm going to return dispatch store, and this is an arrow function, and I'll need the driver's ID, which I'm going to take from the store .home .booking. We're going to take it from our booking object, and to take the driver ID, and then we're going to request from the endpoint we created here, If you check the Git repo, you'll be able to get the API I created before this video. So this will be HTTP localhost 3000, and I'm getting it from API/driver, and I'll just pass the ID, and I'll do a dot finish here, and I'll do a dispatch, a type of get driver information, and my payload will be response.body, and I need this inside my action constants, and I also need to import it up here. Then down here I'm gonna create an action handler, which will be function handle get driver information. We have stat action, and I'm just gonna return update stat, and we have driver info, which we're just going to set the payload we got from the API. Set action dot payload, and then I need to make sure I map my handler to my action creator up here. Get driver information, so I need this. And I also need to make sure my components know that this exists. So I'm gonna map the stat to props, which is stat.home.driver info. And I also need components to know that this function exists as well. Each time the driver updates their location, the server is going to fire a socket IO event, which we have a type of update driver location. So we need to handle this inside our client. So to do this, I'm just going to create another action handler here. Function handle update driver location. And I'm just going to do the same thing here. But this time we are updating the driver's location. So we need to map it here. And we have our driver location object here. Oh, sorry, this should be track driver instead of home. So we'll need to use this driver location inside our map track. So I'm just gonna pass it here, and I need to create another marker here for the car, and I'll display this if show car marker is true. So we're going to get our driver's location from driver location dot coordinates, and this will be 1, and we'll do the same thing here, but this will be 0, and we're going to take show marker from driver location. Just need to pass this here also. This dot props dot driver location. So when the user clicks on this button here inside our driver found component, we're calling a function called get driver location, but we haven't created it yet. This gets the initial driver's location. So let's just create it up here. I'm gonna call it get initial driver location. Create a function here, export function get driver location, and let me just make sure my components know that it exists. And I'm gonna make an API call to get the driver's initial location. And this will look pretty much the same as this, except my endpoint this time will be driver location, and the action will be get driver location, which I need also in my action constants. And I need to create a handler for this, so I'll just call this handle get driver location. And this will be the same, but I also need to set show driver found. I want to set it to false so that I can close the overlay. I need to show the car marker, so I'll just set this to true. So inside my initial state here, show driver found component, show driver found, we have a value of true. So I'll need this here, is stat dot track driver, show driver found, and I'll also need show marker, should be stat dot track driver dot show marker, which I'm going to use here. Instead of taking it from here, I'll just have it directly, and I'll need it here. This dot props dot show marker. Okay, so now I know if we run this app, we're going to get a lot of errors since we just copied the home route and just replaced a few things. So before we run the app, let's just check if everything is okay. So inside our reducers, so this, I changed this to module instead of modules. Then inside my sim track driver, I'm supposed to get this from track driver. Track driver container, okay. Then inside my container, this is supposed to be track driver, and the component we're using is track driver. So you just need to take care of these small things. And inside here, this is footer. No, we don't need these components also. Driver found styles. Let me just rename this. Let me just check if everything is okay also here. Okay, missed out this. And inside here, my component is this one. Save. Okay. Oh, we don't need to use the logo here. Just save this. Check my header component. Okay, there's a condition here. Let me just put an option here. Should be text, and I'll just give it a style of header text. And this will just say driver on the way. Save. Let me test again. Pickup location, then key in my drop off location. Book. Confirm. Driver footer not defined. Okay. missed an R here. Okay, inside driver found, get driver location. Okay, I'm calling it out here. Inside my trick driver out. Okay, I need to pass it here also. So with this dot props dot get driver location. Okay, this one should be dot region. So get inside here, I want to get the selected address. I'm passing outside, and then I need to use an image for the car marker here. And let me just call this car marker. I'll just paste it here. And I'll use the car marker image from here. And just pass it down here, save. Okay, so now the next thing you want to do is calculate the distance. So to do that, I'm just going to go inside my module and create another function here. And I'll call this get distance from driver, because currently we are hard coding the distance from the driver, so we want to get it from Google distance metrics. So down here I'm just going to copy the same function I have, copy this part, and I'm gonna write my function here. Export function get distance from driver, and I'm just going to return dispatch store. This will be an arrow function. Paste this here. Let me copy the request also. Save. Okay, but before I run this code, I'm just gonna do one check here. I'm just gonna check if store dot trick driver dot driver location. Then we run this code. We want to run it only if we have the driver's location. And down here, I'm just gonna make a few changes. My origins will still be the selected pickup latitude and longitude, but my destination this time will be coming from track driver dot the driver's location dot coordinate dot coordinates, and this will be 1, and I'll do the same down here and just change this to 0, and my function will be called get distance from driver. Paste it here, and then I also need it inside my action constants. And then I need to create a handler for the function. Function handle get distance from driver, and I'll pass in my stat and action here, and I'll just return something like this. But I'll have an object here called distance from driver. And I need to map this to my action, which is get distance from driver. Okay, now I need to map this object to props inside my container. This will be stat dot track driver dot distance from driver, which could be an empty object. And I also need my components to know that this action exists. Get the distance from the driver. Then for me to check if the driver's location is changed so I can update, I need to go inside here and use another React lifecycle called component will receive props. Component will receive props. And using this, I'll do an if check here. I'll check if this dot props dot the driver's location next props dot driver location. If it's not the same with this dot props dot driver location, now execute this function, this dot props dot get distance from driver. Okay. Let me close this. Okay, let's test. So if I refresh this, type in my pickup location, in my drop off location, click on book and confirm it here. Click next. Right here I should be able to get the driver's location, and now it's being updated at certain intervals. So inside here I'm also getting my distance from the driver. Inside rows, objects, inside elements, distance. So right now my driver is 12 kilometers away, and the duration will take like 17 minutes. So it will keep on updating like that. So now we need to pass this to our component as props, so we can also update this time as the driver moves. So to do that, I'm just gonna copy this, and I need to pass it to my driver on the way footer. This dot props dot distance from driver, and I'll just pass it here also. So I'm just going to create a constant here called duration, which will be equal to the distance from driver dot rows dot elements, or just put an empty string. And down here I'll just put a check if the duration dot value is less than 100, then I'll just type in the driver has arrived, because this will be less than a minute. Otherwise I'll print out the duration dot text, add another condition here. We'll only show this component if this object is available dot rows, and I'll just wrap this inside this condition. Okay, and I think let me just add another view here. Let me just wrap everything inside the view here. Okay, let me just add another small fix here. This is supposed to be first name, and we'll just put this button inside vehicle details. Save. Now let's test and see what happens. And I'll type in my pickup location and my drop off location, and click on book. The driver confirms the booking, and I'll click next. So now I can start tracking my my driver's location, so the user can see the car moving, and when the car is close to my pickup location, it will indicate that the driver has arrived. So that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next video. I'll be doing other videos similar to this series. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.